Greetings and welcome to the Introduction to Physical Science. In this video, we are going to look through the simulator for the Geometric Optics lab that some of the classes may do. And we'll take a look a little bit about the different controls and what you can do with the material in that lab. So when we open up the lab, we will see something like this, which is the Geometric Optics lab. It allows us to look at lenses and mirrors. Let's go ahead and start with lenses and take a look at those. And what we see is this is the default that will come up, and that will show the lens that you've selected in the center there. So there's our lens, and we have an object and an image. And the image here in between would actually be a virtual image in this case. Now let's look at some of the different controls here. So let's start up in the upper left. The first one just selects what object you're looking at. So you have various different objects that you can use that may be used for different things. The little lock button here simply means that if you lock it, you can't accidentally move things up and down. You can only move things left and right. You may or may not need that depending on what you're doing. There are two different types of lenses. Right now we have a concave lens. We can also look at a convex lens that we'll look at afterwards. And then we have different rulers that can be used to measure if you need to measure how far away an object is or how far away it is from the focal point. You can use the different rulers to measure either horizontally or vertically. Now, down on the bottom, there are other controls there, whether we want to see the marginal rays, which is what I'm going to use for here. You can also look at the principal rays, mini rays, or you can turn them all off together. Radius of curvature will tell you how curved the mirror is, or the lens is in this case. So we can adjust it a little bit. We can make it, whether it's the curvature changes to larger or smaller values. And we can use that depending on what you need for your lab. The index of refraction will tell you how the light's being bent. A higher number will involve bending the light at a steeper angle, and a lower value will mean that it's bent less, and that will adjust where the image ends up. And then the diameter is how big the lens is, so you can adjust from a smaller lens up to a bigger lens, depending on what we need for a specific lab. The last few buttons show whether you have the focal points there in yellow labeled, the virtual image. If you want to turn it off, if it's a virtual image, it will only show a real image in that case. And you can turn on the labels to tell you what everything is. I'm going to leave that on for right now. Second point just allows you to put a movable point on the object. And again, some of these you may need for your lab, some of them will not be used. You'll only need certain things. Just depends on what the lab instructions tell you. Now we can take a quick look at that, and if we look at, let's say, a convex lens, and we put our object here, we can see that we're getting a much larger real image off to the right. As we pull it further away, we can then see that it becomes smaller and smaller. And if we bring it closer again, watch it get larger, but it's going to keep getting larger. It'll disappear off our screen. And if you reach to the focal point, when you get the object there, you'll note that the rays coming out of the lens are parallel. There's no object here. There is no image here. We're not going to have an image at all. And if we bring it closer, we'll see that we're just unable to focus altogether. Now let's go ahead and take a quick look at the mirrors as well. So we're going to go back and switch to mirrors here. And let's go ahead and reset everything. So here's our go ahead and start with our mirror. Let's turn on our labels so we can see all the images. In this case, we have our object here. We are looking at a concave mirror, and our object then gives us a real image. If we bring it closer in towards the focus, the image gets larger. Bring it farther away, the image gets smaller. And again, at the focus, the rays become parallel and the image disappears altogether. If we bring it closer, then all of a sudden we now have a virtual image. So not a real image as we had before. This is a virtual image on the other side of the mirror. So we can see that comes in when you have the lens closer. When you have the object closer than the focal point to the mirror. And you'll be asked to do various measurements here. You may have to change various values. You may have to use your rulers to measure to get a certain image and describe what that is. And that will really hopefully give you a little bit better understanding of how we can form images using mirrors and lenses for various different types. Now you'll see with the lenses there is concave, there is also a convex mirror and a flat mirror, so it's a little bit different than what you had with the lenses. The measuring tools are essentially the same, and the controls down here are a little bit different in that we just have this one just has diameter. The other ones will have a radius of curvature, but the rays and the other ones are pretty much exactly the same as we saw before. So you'll be using this for the lab working on geometric optics, which will have you use the lenses and the mirrors, setting them to look at various different things, putting the object at different places and doing some measurements to see how the image formation works. So that concludes this discussion on using the Geometric Optics Lab simulator to be able to understand image formation. We'll be back again next time to look at another one of these simulators. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.